Three Venezuelan patrol ships lock speed with the USS Gerald R. A drone hangs at 180 feet, and a fourth boat lingers behind. No radio threats, no closing turn. So why did the Ford suddenly throw a defensive power turn that rocked the shadowing ship with its wake? You're in the right place. Stay with me as we break down the exact tactical mistake. A single sharp course correction off faulty coastal radar buoys that transformed a routine shadow into a near collision, and how the Ford signaled a red line without a shot. If no one raised a rifle and no hull crossed the guardrail, why did the ocean suddenly heave like a storm under a clear sky? Because pressure at sea rarely looks like a torpedo track. It looks like geometry. Three Venezuelan offshore patrol vessels locked into the Ford's speed and bearing, sliding alongside on parallel lines. A Guamakudo-type craft idled aft, acting like a rear-view shadow. Overhead, at 180 feet, a civilian-grade UAV held a lazy drift that never touched the carrier's airspace, but never gave the radar a break either. On paper, it read, harmless. On the water, it read, choreographed. Synchronized bearings do something to a watch team. You stop treating it like ships passing and start treating it like a test. The formation felt planned, not casual. The timing between course checks tightened. The radio guard stayed quiet, which made it louder. Multi-domain presence. Hulls to port and starboard, a tail astern, and that slow-flying eye tells the carrier you are being framed from 3 axes, even if nobody says a word. That is deliberate pressure without a single aggressive act. In combat, the tactical action officer made the call. Disciplined shadowing. No closing turn. No cut across the bow. A soft intercept posture, which means the contacts rode the edges of the carrier's safety arcs without trying to pierce them. The bubble stayed intact, and that matters. It's the leash that keeps small errors from becoming steel on steel. The carrier held a steady base course, speed constant, so any change in distance would be theirs, not ours. Escorts picked up their role with quiet moves. A destroyer like USS McFall slid into an interposed lane, not blocking, not hurting, but ready to own the angle if anyone drifted inward. That lane is the cushion. It lets the carrier remain predictable, which reduces collision risk more than any shouted warning. The flight deck kept normal ops cadence. The bridge reported CPA estimates like a metronome. Routine is a message in itself. Gray zone doctrine loves this kind of tableau. Proximity, persistence, ambiguity. You hold close just long enough to raise options, you hang around long enough to be noticed, and you leave enough doubt that everyone can claim the high ground later. The Royal Navy has seen this dance in the North Atlantic, with companion courses that never cross but always press the boundary. Japan's maritime force has endured long-side shadowing off the Senkakus, where the lanes remain straight while intentions curl at the edges. It's legal, calculated, and designed to harvest reactions. The drone made the picture harder. Civilian airframe, but the route looked like it came off a plotting board. It never dived, never buzzed, but it held station in a way hobby pilots don't. An E-2D picked it up, tagged it, and kept it in the track file without sending an intercept. That restraint prevented a headline. Intercept the toy, and you feed the narrative that you're the aggressor. Track it quietly, and you force the other side to escalate first. Now put yourself on the loop with the push to talk. Every radio call can end up on state TV. Every rudder order leaves a wake that someone will post. Even your silence gets edited. That's the operator's dilemma in a lens-heavy world. Show resolve, avoid theatrics, and keep the lawyers out of the CIC. So the first message from a carrier isn't a missile. It's a steady helm, a soft intercept, and a safety bubble that doesn't bend. You deny the story they want by refusing to write new lines for them. That stable picture held, until one variable snapped it. A single course correction, fed by suspect coastal radar buoys, reached across the water and tugged at that bubble like a loose thread. How does a few degrees of turn morph harmless shadowing into a near collision with a ship that outweighs a city block? It begins with confidence in the wrong numbers. Venezuelan coastal radar buoys had been switched on earlier in the week. Older units, inconsistent beyond short coastal ranges, feeding fixes back to patrol bridges that wanted sharper positional truth than their own sensors could give. Crews started cross-checking bearings with shore-fed data. That adds a lag you don't see on the chart, and it tempts you to trust a tidy coordinate over the messy reality outside the window. The middle patrol ship made the first hard move. One sharp correction to align with a shore fix, then a slow drift bleeding toward the Ford's safety bubble. Not a ramming turn and not a cut across the bow. Just the wrong vector if no one corrected early. Matching speed makes that mistake sticky. At equal speed, you ride alongside your error, and the gap closes even while your helm looks steady. The error chain stacked fast. The buoy data was likely lagged by transmission delay and range. The bridge team misread the fix, or weighted it too heavily, and their tight spacing with the other patrol ships left no room for a gentle offset. At matching speed, your options shrink. Every degree demands more water. When the picture looks stable, the human brain discounts motion, even as math moves the steel. Carrier math is unforgiving. At 25 knots, a sliver of angle translates to fast lateral closure. The Ford's bridge calculated that waiting for the patrol ship to wake up would cut their own maneuvering room to scraps. A defensive power turn shifts the risk onto your wake rather than your hull. It's counterintuitive, but with a 100,000-ton ship, the safer play can be to move boldly, early, and clean. The order went down. High power turned to starboard. Maintain speed. The bow dug, and the stern carved a wall of water that ran across the patrol ship's nose. No contact, no sirens, just physics doing the talking. The wake hit with enough force to jolt the smaller hull, slam unsecured gear, and shove the bow off its drift. That is non-lethal signaling at sea. You don't need to key the mic when the ocean carries the message. Wake effects have a history. Crews have used washover to force acknowledgement without burning the airwaves. In close approaches off crowded sea lanes, larger ships have warned fishing fleets and patrol craft with deliberate wake throws that recalibrate spacing. It's a blunt language, but it avoids the trap of an angry call that lives forever online. The water says enough and leaves no transcript. The response told the story. The Venezuelan captain steadied up, restored distance, and slid back outside the bubble. No apology. No duel on Channel 16. That silence admits risk without admitting fault. The formation kept station again, this time with a little extra breathing room and fewer glances at the buoy-fed plot. The flashpoint wasn't hostility. It was bad data fed into a tight formation at matching speed, multiplied by human confidence and trimmed margins. The fix was simple and precise. One controlled maneuver that said, "Stop here." No warning shot. No fighter pass, just a wake that set a line and held it. What hangs in the air afterward isn't spray, it's narrative. One side will say the carrier overreacted, the other will say the patrol ship strayed. Both can point to the same wave. And next time, if the drone rides closer and the buoy returns look cleaner, the decision to hold the line lands on a different bridge with less time and more eyes watching. At sea, the riskiest move is often small, a confident turn built on bad data. One wake from crisis. The Ford's power turn showed how non-lethal signaling can de-escalate. A controlled wall of water set a boundary without a warning shot, proving calibrated responses manage gray zone encounters better than loud radio drama. Vigilance and clean procedures matter because tiny inputs cascade fast when steel moves at carrier speeds. If you want deeper breakdowns on gray zone tactics and the decisions that prevent war, subscribe and leave the next incident you want dissected. Next time the drone flies closer and buoy returns look cleaner. Who owns the decision to hold the line?